She didn't knock. She didn't text. She didn't even pretend to be polite. Karen Voss, president of the Sunset Palms Estates HOA, marched straight across my Bermuda grass like she owned the deed, reached down, and wrapped her manicured claws around the wooden baby shower sign my wife had painted with shaking hands after 6 months of hospital beds and prayers that almost went unanswered. Take it down. Now. That was the moment everything changed in our little slice of Arizona hell, where community standards meant one woman's ego wearing a name tag. I stepped off the porch, voice low, the kind of calm that makes bullies blink. Section 7.2, subsection C, Karen. Temporary celebratory displays under 48 hours are exempt. You rewrote that clause yourself last spring, remember? The one you pushed so you could keep your 4th of July banner up an extra week. Her fake smile twitched. The neighbors who'd wandered out to watch the show leaned in like it was primetime TV. Karen's fingers tightened on the sign until the wood creaked. Rules are rules, Mr. Ramirez. We can't have the neighborhood looking chaotic. I smiled right back. Funny. Chaos is exactly what I see when someone walks onto private property without permission. She dropped the sign like it burned her, spun on her heel, and power walked away. But I knew Karen Voss. She didn't retreat, she reloaded. 6 minutes later my phone buzzed. Mass HOA alert. New directive, hot off the press. All yard signage, temporary or otherwise, now requires 48-hour advance written approval. No exceptions. Violations equals $250 fine per day. Time-stamped exactly 6 minutes after she left my yard. The woman literally rewrote the law while driving home. I stood there holding my pregnant wife's hand while she cried quietly into my shoulder. Sarah had painted every letter of that sign during the weeks the doctors weren't sure our son would make it to term. Those crooked little handprints weren't decor, they were hope. And Karen had tried to snatch it like it was yesterday's trash. That night I didn't sleep. I did what I do best. I'm Alex Ramirez, Senior Structural Engineer for Maricopa County Projects. I spend my days finding the exact point where buildings start to lie to you, where the math doesn't match the reality. Turns out HOAs lie the same way. I opened the governing documents, the meeting minutes, the county permit portal, and started mapping the cracks. Karen had been quietly rewriting rules for 2 years without board votes. Fines for garden gnomes. Fines for American flags on Memorial Day. Fines for a kid's sidewalk chalk that said, "Happy Birthday, Mom." Every single overreach had one thing in common: no proper documentation. The next morning Ted Langley, the HOA treasurer who looked like he hadn't slept since 2019, accidentally left his coffee at my door with a sticky note that just said, "Check the gazebo project." I checked. Karen had ordered a $28,000 community welcome gazebo, built on common land last month. No permits. No engineering stamp. No drainage plan. In the freaking desert where flash floods laugh at amateurs. The contractor? Her brother-in-law. The invoice? Paid out of the emergency reserve she swore was only for true crises. I smiled so hard my jaw hurt. By the time the emergency board meeting rolled around that evening, the clubhouse was packed. People who never showed up for anything were crammed shoulder to shoulder, retirees, young families, even the guy who usually hid behind his curtains. Karen strode in like a queen, badge gleaming, clutching her little leather binder like it was the 10 Commandments. "Order, please. We have important updates too." I stood up. Calm. Professional. The same voice I use when I tell a developer their $40 million tower is about to pancake. "Before we talk updates, Karen, let's talk the gazebo you approved without permits." The room went graveyard silent. She laughed, that high, brittle Karen laugh. "This is neither the time nor the..." Actually, I cut in, holding up printed county records. "State law requires engineering review for any structure over 10 feet on common property. Yours is 14 feet. No stamp. No inspection. And the drainage slope you insisted on? It funnels straight toward Mrs. Delgado's backyard. One good monsoon, and her house becomes an aquarium." Ted stood up next to me, voice shaking but clear. I signed the checks because she told me it was pre-approved. It wasn't. Karen's face went the color of cheap foundation. "You're all being ridiculous. I'm protecting property values." A mom in the third row held up her phone. "You fined me $300 for my daughter's chalk drawing of a rainbow last week. But you can build an illegal gazebo." Another voice. "My flag was 3 inches too high on the pole, $150. Then the dam broke. I didn't raise my voice once. I just laid out the receipts, literally. Every fake revision date, every missing signature, every dollar that vanished into improvements that never got permitted. And the best part, the county inspector I'd quietly requested that morning walked in right on cue, hard hat under his arm. "Ma'am," he said to Karen, "we're shutting down the gazebo site effective immediately. You'll be hearing from the building department and the state HOA oversight board." Karen opened her mouth, closed it. For the first time in years, Sunset Palms Estates heard silence from its queen. 3 days later the board voted 7-0 to remove her. She didn't even show up. Just mailed in a tear-stained resignation letter claiming personal reasons and health concerns. The gazebo got torn down. The fines got refunded. And that baby shower sign? It's still standing proud in my front yard, ribbon fluttering in the desert breeze, right where it belongs. Sarah and I sat on the porch last night watching little Mateo kick inside her belly while neighbors walked by waving, actually waving like normal humans instead of scared rabbits. The air smelled like creosote and freedom. Look, I'm not saying I'm a hero. I'm just a guy who knows how structures fail, whether they're made of concrete or pure, unfiltered entitlement. Karen Voss spent years building her little empire on sand, then acted shocked when the first honest wind knocked it flat. That's the beautiful, bitter truth about people like her. They always think the rules only apply to everyone else until the exact same rules come for them with receipts and a county inspector. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Was Karen the real victim of overreach, or did she finally get exactly what she spent years dishing out, served cold, legal, and deliciously ironic? Drop your verdict below. And if you've ever been HOA'd by your own neighborhood Karen, tell me your story. Because trust me, the sign always stays when the right person fights for it. See you in the next one. Stay vigilant, stay documented, and never let them touch your baby sign.